Before your world drew its first breath, I was already watching. When the first myths were whispered into firelight, I listened. I have seen empires rise like spark and fade into ash beneath forgotten skies. You call them legends, you call them monsters, you call them impossible. Slight pause, I call them truth. Beyond your maps, beyond your oceans, beyond the veil of what you believe to be real, they endure. Creatures of shadow, beasts of ancient bone, guardians of realms unseen, and I am their sentinel. Wings unfold, cosmic light pulses. I am Velkaris, warden of the astral archive, keeper of forgotten things. Step beyond the ordinary, look into the dark. And remember, eyes flare brighter. Myth never dies. Beat. Welcome to Mythosology.
Locals call it Amy Cook. What you're seeing is 8 to 9 feet of muscle and slime, no legs, just 4 arms, all built to pull it through the tundra or drag prey under. It'll spend days underground.
So this is Aglabemu. The Wabanaki tell of him damming up a great river, sometimes the St. John, sometimes the Penobscot, and the water behind him backed up for miles. Downstream, everything ran dry, big enough to block a river.
Alright folks, this is our Aklut. Best way I could explain it, half wolf, half orca, spirit out of Inuit stories.
Wow.
See that dorsal fin and those paws? That's how you tell its tracks. Wolf prints that end right at the waterline.
All right, y'all, this big fella here is what folks around here call the Altamahaha, or just Alti for short. Stories go back hundreds of years. Tama people first talked about a long-necked river guardian right in the Alti.
You're looking at Amaguk, the trickster wolf spirit of Inuit stories. According to the old tales, he's a guide and a challenger, sometimes a protector, sometimes a mischief maker. Notice
Samrock, bigger than any wolf you'll meet, nearly twice the weight. Notice how it's by itself? Legends say it hunts alone, and it hunts anyone foolish enough to go out alone at night. It's huge. Unlike real wolves, packs mean nothing to it. Folks up north.
Folks, what you're looking at is sometimes called the American hyena. The Iowa people knew it as the Shunko Warakin. Reports of animals like this run from Montana all the way down into Nebraska.
Folks, this is the Amiguk. Local stories say it's a large, slimy, leathery-skinned animal that wraps those big arms around people and even kayaks, dragging them straight to the bottom. They can break through ice and burrow through the earth, so running on land.
This basalt panel was uncovered in the 1960s near the Highland Terrace. The figures you see here are dated to more than 1,000 years ago. Notice the rounded headgear and the hoses.
What you're looking at is the Ingioa. Fully grown, it runs 50 to 60 feet long, and that dorsal fin, over 9 feet high, is as sharp as it looks. Inuit stories describe it as aggressive. Out on the open water, it's been known to...
Alright folks, this is the Everesboro galliniper. Looks like a mosquito on steroids because it pretty much is. Wingspan runs about 3 feet, body near hawk size, that needle on its head, like a little sword. It could slice...
This is the Azai-Wugum-Kimuk-T, a predator once reported with Arctic walrus herds. Its hide is made of interlocking black scales. They can be pierced, but only with a spear or harpoon.
Folks call it the Beast of Bears. You can see why. Masked like a grizzly, but look at those scars, the missing coat. They say it roams swamps from Texas to Virginia. Up close, you catch that smell, a mix of rot.
The locals call him Chietanka, the big elder brother. Stories say he's a woodland messenger, a spirit that carries the voices of the trees. The long hair keeps him warm through mountain winters.
Folks call her Cressy, after Crescent Lake, out near Robert's Arm. Legend says she's been seen in the lake since the 1800s, slithering up like a black log and dying.
They're called Dark Watchers. No one's ever seen them do anything but look up. People think they're spirits, maybe guardians, maybe just wanderers who never left. They aren't hostile, they don't even
Just off the trail here you can see the deer women. They tend to linger near the edge of the enclosure, especially when it's warm. In stories they're said to call travelers from the woods, a little like the nymphs in old myths.
These are the Cadejos. The white one here is said to guard travelers. People in the countryside swear they'll see it on lonely roads, walking just ahead like an old friend. The black one behind...
Folks call it the Flying Head, or sometimes the Big Head. Stories go back centuries among the Haudenosaunee and the Wyandot. They say it's the spirit of a vengeful giant cursed to wander without...
What you're looking at is a Janoskwa, sometimes called the Stone Giant Man in Haudenosaunee stories. Notice the plates on the shoulders and spine. That's mineralized skin like natural armor. They're heavy.
The Gugwe stands 8 feet when it wants to, incredibly strong, very territorial. You'll notice the canid muzzle, odd for a primate. We have to keep 2 fences between it and us. It's never been cataloged in the wild.
And over here is our resident hap-hap, largest we've ever recorded. That apron it's wearing? Living western diamondbacks woven through old sinew. He uses the rattle to warn anything before he breathes in. All right,
That's the HV Seco Capco. Looks a bit like a gray wolf, but you'll notice the long pointed ears and that horse's tail. Folks out on the rocks used to smell it before they saw it. They favor dry, desolate places, and they'll...
Locals around the lake call it Illy. The Tlingit know it as Gonakadet, and in the Aleutian tongue, it's Jigignak. Reports go back more than a century, something big, longer than a fishing boat.
What you're looking at is the Imapuma sorsua, a colossal flounder native to the North Atlantic. Its body is as flat as a sandbar and stretches longer than a football.
This is a kukwes, pronounced kukwes. In Mi'kmaq stories, it's a type of man-eating ogre famous for its greed and hunger. Notice the thick hair and the bear-like shape of the head. He's built to tear in...
Folks, this is a kushtaka. They're shapeshifters. Most often you'll see them halfway between human and otter like this one, but they can swing either direction. Listen, there's the whistle they make, low, high, low. Sailors used to follow...
What you're looking at here is the Lone Pine Mountain Devil. Local legend says it's a winged carnivore, cousin to the infamous Jersey Devil back east. Early writings from a Spanish priest called them winged demons.
Locals call it the mini Washitu, the water monster of the Missouri. Stands around 7, maybe 8 feet. Single eye, single horn, and a hide like a bison's. Those spines along its back, hard as...
Folks, that's Monongahela. First sighted along the Monongahela back in the 60s. Half man, half fish, all muscle. Those gills let it stay underwater for close to an hour, but on warm days like this, it likes to surf.
Right here, folks, is what the Muisca described centuries ago. They believed a creature like this lived in Lake Tota. The first written mention came from Gonzalo Jimenez de Quesada. He said it...
What you're looking at is Pomola. In Penobscot tradition, he lives on Katahdin, the highest peak in Maine. He's the spirit of cold winds and rolling thunder, the guardian of the mountain itself.
Locals call it the Nookluk. Seen first in the spring of '64 by John Baptist and a few trappers on the river. About 5 feet tall, not as ape-looking as the southern Bigfoot story.
Right in front of you is the obojoki. That head is about the size of a bowling ball, and it packs enough muscle to nudge a rowboat off balance. The skin's a dark greenish brown, rough like old...
What you're looking at is Pal Rai Yuk, sometimes called the Tijuruk. Locals along the Alaska coast have told stories about this creature for generations. Scientific name,
According to the tribes along the river, this was no mere bird. They said its body was the size and shape of a horse. Long white fangs jabbed up from the lower jaw, and fire leapt from the nostril.
These are Colupiloid. Look at the skin, scaly and bumpy, a lot like a sculpin's, but thicker. They're not considered pretty by any means. People describe them as ugly.
It is the Coxtaceti, a figure from Denina stories. According to those traditions, it wades beneath frozen rivers and lakes, and when it calls, the ice sinks back. We don't see it move often. If you hear
Patches of fur only on the feet, around the mouth and ears, and right on the tip of that tail. In traditional Inuit stories, it's said to bring terror, but it's also scared off easily. If someone shouts its name or if it's...
Folks around these parts call him Slippery Skin. Stories go back to the 1700s when settlers said a black two-legged bear kept wrecking traps and scaring off hunters. Some swore he could vanish between the trees.
Folks call her Spider Grandmother. Among the Hopi, she's Kokianguti, and to the Navajo, Naashche Azaha. She weaves the world together, so the stories say. The Cherokee say she spun a web that could wrap the sun itself.
This here is the Tulanusi. Folks say it used to live in the rivers up in western North Carolina. Legend goes it would crawl down into the shallows just like that, the water starting to boil around it. Then, watch.
The Chuknapak lives on land but swims just as easily as it runs. If it's disturbed by sound, it'll go straight for the source. Out in the wild.
The Wallowa Lake monster, or just Wally. Reports say creatures like this have been seen in the lake for over a century. This individual is about 14 feet long. Those stories...
Folks call this one the White Death, or the Alaskan Tiger. It's native to the swamps outside Paxson. Local legend says it's been here longer than anyone can remember. Hunters swear that every time it takes...
On the front. What you're looking at is called Atasaya, the Zuni name for a giant cannibalistic spirit. Think of it as their version of the Bigfoot stories, only meaner. Standing close to 10...
Folks, this is Yitzo, whose name means big monster. Greatest of the Anai, the alien god, scourge of the old Navajo stories. Said to be the eldest son of the sun himself, or born from a...
This is the specimen captured last summer in the mesas. You can see how it favors the front limbs like a coyote, but the hind structure is almost human. We keep triple fencing, motion triggers, and you can hear the generator running the...